My hands do not work for whatever reason. Ah, okay. I might just cut that whole part out. Okay, anyways. Hi guys, it's me, Kaiman the Hybrid, of your friendly cockle wolf that does things. Sometimes I stream, sometimes I play games. Today I'm making a video. I know that since this video has been made, there's already been so much shit that's been happening in the world right now. I just want you guys to know, please focus on yourself, your mental health, because it is very important, and it is probably the only thing that you can control completely. So focus on that, and you guys are awesome, and you will make it through, one day at a time. Just remember that. In honor of the new year, and in honor of the slew of furry conventions that are going to be having this year, I figured it would be at least appropriate to talk just a little bit. I don't know how long I'm going to talk here, but I want to talk a little bit about conventions, and more specifically, the barriers to entry with some of these conventions. By the time this video is released, I will be at Amthor, New England, in Boston, Massachusetts. I will be there with my friends, and it's going to be an amazing time. But with that, I've definitely gotten some people that I've talked to, both honestly within the fandom, talking about how cons are hard for them because of, certain factors. But two factors are chief among them, and honestly probably the only two that I hear, but they're two very, very large ones. The first being, I can't do conventions because I don't have a fursuit, or I can't do conventions because I have no friends. And not only this, but there have been sentiments that have been stated across the fandom that would suggest that if you don't have a fursuit or you don't go with friends, you're going to have a horrible time at conventions. I have my own thoughts on them. As someone who has done these conventions quite a bit, again, I've only been in the fandom for a year. Well, not a year, longer than a year, but I've been going to conventions for a year now. So I feel like I have some sort of a leg to stand on. And the whole time I did that, I did not have a fursuit. Now, granted, yes, I did have some people that I knew, I did have some friends, but the very first convention that I went to, Amthor, New England, and I guess this is where we're going to start. I guess we'll just start with the whole friends thing. My topic is this. And I really need you to listen to me when I say this. You do not need to have a large amount of friends to succeed at furry conventions. I don't even know why the term succeeds at furry conventions is a thing, okay? You don't need to have a lot of friends to make a furry convention work for you. There's a video that I watched early on last year, and I believe it was by Finn the Panther, and the video was basically titled, How to Do Furry Conventions Alone. And in the video, Finn basically goes to A&E, but he does not take his fursuit. He does not... Hi, okay, so this is post-production Kaiman. I did a really big oopsie, and I thought I had remembered the video properly, and I didn't. But Finn did indeed take his fursuit to this event, and he did wear it, because I literally had to check it after I had rendered the video like a dummy. He did bring his fursuit, so that whole part of the video, or rather of that section, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I will say that he does go alone. He does go alone. He made sure that the people weren't there that he knew, or rather it just was a coincidence that no one he knew happened to be there. And that's when it ended up happening. But he did bring his fursuit. So anything I say about him not having his fursuit, just ignore that. I'm very sorry. That shouldn't happen again. I was a brick. Now back to the video. Take his suit, he just goes to Amthor, New England, just as a normal person, going around and seeing how the con is going to be from that perspective. One of the things I think that was really important that he did show with the video is, especially as someone who has a platform like that, going to a convention, making content, going to a convention, I don't remember if he's been there or not, but basically, he went and he kind of killed it. Like, he had days dedicated to different activities he wanted to do. He took advantage of ways to meet people, etc. Why am I saying all this? You do not need a large amount of friends to quote unquote win at furry conventions, okay? I think that notion is pretty, not sad, but what the I think the sentiment does have some sort of like reason that it's here, obviously. it's hard to look at Twitter or Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, really anywhere there where there's social media, and not see, or TikTok, and not see a bunch of furries in cliques, in groups at conventions, hanging out with people. Because there's always going to be those people that don't have cliques and don't have these groups that feel like they're going to be left out. I say to that is going to happen regardless of anything that you do. Maybe you see this at work, maybe you see this at your school, high school, college, etc. Even conventions that are not related to furries. Like if you go to other conventions like Dragon Con, Comic Con, PAX, TwitchCon, you're going to have this stuff happen, right? The truth of the matter is that a lot of the time people come to conventions with their friends. However, this does not mean that people only go to conventions with their friends. I have gone to conventions with friends, and I have ended up meeting people at these conventions that were not people that I met going into it. At A&E, I only went with one other person that I knew, and that person was Alistair Alpaca. He and I went to A&E, it was my very first furry convention, and I knew absolutely no one there. By the end of the convention, it's not like I had like a Rolodex of people, right? But what I am saying is that I walked out of that convention with more friends than I went into it with. And some of those friends I did make from having mutual friends. But some of the people I talked to, that I still talk to this day, I did not. And I kind of want to give some examples and then kind of point to what you can do to replicate this type of success, at least in my opinion. I went into each con last year with, and I guess I'll kind of cover this in like a, con recap video for 2025, but I went into each con with the mindset that I wanted to make at least one new friend at each convention. Now I know that's a lofty goal for some people, and for other people it's like, one friend, I do that on fucking Telegram or Discord or whatever. Hear me out. This goal is simple enough for me to allow myself to be like, hey, I'm trying to meet you, I want to make some new friends, let's go do this, but let's not make it so overwhelming that we have to force ourselves to burn our social battery just to do it, right? It's like 3 or 4 days, you can most certainly meet at least one person, right? So I'll tell you about my experience very briefly. Essentially at A&E, I had 2 different types of ways that I made friends. Mutual friends, which is my preferred method, and just raw dogging it. And the mutual friends method worked very well because my friend and I, Alistair, at the very last day of the con, I met with quite a bit of people that he had met during his time at the con. And because of that, I got to meet up with them through him, and we all got to talking, and then we're mutuals. We're mutuals now. And I think that's really awesome. And so you're probably wondering, well, I don't have friends. I don't have someone that I go to cons with. That is not a problem, because I'm going to tell you about 2 people that I met at A&E that I personally really enjoyed talking to and still talk to this day. The first person I met, her name is Solvi, and she is very awesome, very, very cool person on Blue Sky. I met her at her panel. It was like a drunken SpongeBob conspiracy panel, and it was extremely funny. It was, to this day, the most I think I've ever laughed at a con, and at a panel. And by afterwards, you know what I did? I went up and I told her, hey, your panel made me laugh out loud, bro. Like, it was unreal how good it was. And to my surprise, we ended up walking out, we ended up talking, we had some things in common, we sat down in front of the Starbucks at the Westin, and essentially we just kind of chatted for a bit. And by the end of it, we ended up being Blue Sky mutuals, which was very exciting. Now, the other thing I'm going to mention, which I think is extremely helpful, is Bark, okay? Please use Bark when you're at these events. I don't care if you never use it outside of that in your life. Using Bark will make your life so much easier because it lowers the barrier to entry to meet people, it increases the amount of people you are exposed to, and third of all, it just makes sense. You're in a group of furries with an app that specifically connects furries to other furries, and they have events in the app that you can use, that you can say you're going to, right? And you can connect with other furries that are also going to these events. And that is how I met my second friend. my friend Armageddon, who actually was friends with people that I had already known, but had known each other in completely different contexts. We talked for quite a long time, his girlfriend was really awesome. All these things played a part in that. And the point I'm trying to make is, by the end of the convention, I had met people that I would have never guessed. And by the way, in Solvi's case, on the last night of the con, I was sitting down on a couch in like the main room, not knowing where she was. I was just on my phone. And there she was in full suit, and she reached over and she was like, "Hey, Kaiman." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it's Solvi." And we got a picture. And she was like, I'm really glad that I got to see you in full suit. My point is, you don't need to have as large as like 8 million friends. You don't even need to make it a goal to leave with 8 million friends. What you don't understand is that a good amount of people that come to these cons are already going to cons with groups, myself included. I will be going to A&E with a core group of people. And I highly, highly, highly suggest that if you want to continue doing the cons, that you make the effort to look for these people and to be friends with them and, get stuff going. In a Discord server that I'm in, people collaborate all the time. I've seen people that, not that they didn't know each other, but they've been in the server for a while, collaborate, get together, and get a room, and boom, there's friends right there. So that's a third way to make friends at cons, and you don't even have to be at the con to do it. Discord and Sky are very powerful tools if you know how to use them. And so you don't need to go into a con with 8 million friends, because there are ways to go around that. You have Bark, you have mutual friends, and you have planning stuff ahead of time and basically coordinating that effort. Those are 3 different ways that you can make friends both at cons and before cons, so you will not feel as lonely at these things. Now, as always, I am going to provide a disclaimer. These are not foolproof methods. They may not work for you, and that's okay. Sometimes you might have to do things a bit differently. Sometimes none of these will work for you. I do not suggest these methods as a silver bullet, but what I am saying is that I am suggesting these methods because I know that they've worked for me, and maybe they might work for someone else. So that is why I say them, because I think that they work. I sincerely believe that they work. If you just give it time and a little bit of effort, I truly believe that if you go to any convention this year, you will be able to make at least one new friend. Damn it, maybe not even a friend, maybe an acquaintance, maybe just a full-on acquaintance. That is how I see furry conventions. I know I mentioned, like, if you don't have a first, no one will look at you, but one, I think I kind of went long enough with the first point, and second of all, I think that is something that could be addressed in another video. So I'm sorry if you're looking forward to that. I'm sorry. But as far as the first point, making friends just in general is very hard, okay? This is the furry fandom. A lot of people in the fandom are neurodivergent. They come from troubled backgrounds, this, that, and the third. It is entirely understandable to have issues with making new friends in this fandom. Trust me, I have been there. I have been in this fandom for over 4 years or so, since 2022, right? And at least actively in the fandom, I call it since 2022, which I know is after the COVID era, which definitely makes things harder for some people. But honestly, I am not someone that considers myself easy to make friends. It is hard to get me to open up sometimes. Also, something I didn't even mention, somehow, go to meet and greets. These are events that are literally made specifically for you to meet other people. At the very least, it'll give you an opportunity to practice talking in front of other furries, which I also think is important. If you're bad at socializing, you can get better at socializing by socializing. I know, that's a crazy concept, but it really is something I'm fully serious about. Go and practice socializing. Doing these things will force you to learn small talk. It might be awkward. It might be bad. Listen, no one ever got good at something without being bad at it first. No one. The only way for you to make these friends in this fandom is to go and try. Because no one, especially the shy ones, are not going to just walk up to you. Some might, but that's not something you should bank on. Don't spend time waiting for opportunities. Make the opportunity. Because when you look back on this, several years ahead of time, you're going to regret not going for it. And so I guarantee you embarrassment, anxiety, and awkwardness you have now will be nothing compared to the feeling of regret you'll have when you get home because you didn't do it. I guarantee you that. I just hope that this video, I'm like really close to the camera, I'm sorry. I really hope that this video helps someone out, right? And especially after the last video I made, which I guess was kind of negative, I wanted to make a video that could maybe help people. Because lo and behold, this fandom is full of people that want to be friends with you, that want to cuddle you, that want to love you. They are people that exist. You just have to go and find them. I promise you that they are out there. You just have to start looking. Do the things I told you to do in this video, or at least try. If, you know, at this con, and it doesn't even have to be at a convention. It can be at a local event, which I highly recommend you get connected with your local community too. So much information, so many opportunities, and I swear the only thing you'll feel by not doing them is regret. And you only have one life. So go, don't even think about it. Think less and do more. And you'll surprise yourself with where you end up. I will be, like I said, I will be at Anthem, New England. The next time you see me in a YouTube video, I will be in a fursuit. I really hope you're excited for that. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know why my voice got so solemn all of a sudden, but I kind of like it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. And I hope you guys have had a very, very, very great holidays and New Year's. And yeah, let's go kick some ass in 2026. Peace out. Bye-bye.